Hello and welcome. I'm Tafarag Damu. Owning and running private libraries is not a new story, but bringing those initiatives to a higher level is a totally different one. And that's what exactly our guest today, Mezemir Girma, is doing in Debre Berhan town, an hour and 30 minutes drive from Addis Ababa. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
So, your story is not an unusual story. We have folks running their own libraries in many cities in the country, but yours is a little bit different because you have a library and a bookstore all under the same roof.
Yeah.
Your library is 30 square meters, is that correct?
Yeah, it is a 30 square meters place. It is one room, as you said, and it is in Debre Berhan, a place where reading is not that much usual. Therefore, I'm just struggling with the situation and trying to solve the reading-related problems we have in town.
So you say reading is not a habit
Yes,
in Debre Berhan?
Yeah, you don't see people.
It's the same story all over the country anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot complain, can you?
I heard that the readership in this country is really very low. You don't see people holding books or discussing issues to do with writing or knowledge. So people just talk about other issues. So I am trying to penetrate this atmosphere.
That's why you're here, and that's why you've started running. When was it, 4 years ago?
It was just 4 years ago. Now we are on the 5th year. And as you said, we do on-the-spot reading, which is just given for free. And people borrow books just by paying $1 a day.
$1 a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
And also we sell books. All this to sustain the library and to help pay for the administrative costs.
How many people borrow books from your library?
Just
a day.
A day, these days it is just 10 to 20 people. When we were lending out with ID cards, there were, I remember, 75 people taking books out a day. But now, because they have to deposit money, the price of the books, the number of people has significantly decreased. Mm-hmm. And another factor is, as long as we let people read on the spot for free, they do not have an interest to take the book home by depositing the money.
So in the past, all you have to do is pay per day. You don't have to deposit that amount of money.
Yeah, just $1 and your ID card.
In your ID card. So people do not necessarily cooperate in returning the books, which means you have what? How many ID cards? 200?
200.
So 200 people... 200 people failed to return the books that you borrowed.
Just those ID cards at the library, and just we give them a call, they don't respond, or just they...
Does that mean that they've lost the books, or why is it that they're not returning your calls?
It is just, maybe you just plan to read the book in a week, and just you couldn't. So next week, just 14 birr. And then a month, 30 birr. Then you just fail to show up at the library. However, I went to the local FM radio and disclosed that we could take the books without any payment.
And then people start returning the books? Is that what you say?
I think it is not more than 10 people.
Wow. So who are your clients? Is it students and university students, high school students? Who are your clients?
Everybody, from just KG to retired people. We have just books for everyone from all walks of life. As you said, we have reference for KG to university, and we have fiction, translations, books on history and philosophy, and all areas. The number of people, the maximum number of people that the room accommodated was 45 during one book club session, which we have every week. During that session, it accommodated 45 people.
How about people who sit in and read?
For reading may not be more than 30. because we open the windows and just to keep the kids in the children's section.
There is one children's section.
Yeah, there is, because they don't have to be disturbed. Just 30. We have outdoor areas also. When it is cloudy, people just can read outside. And just it's not much. With our branch library, we used to accommodate some 20 people, which is now closed. Just we are trying to be a place where people can take books, as you said, and read at home. However, out of just more than 130,000 people, it is less than 1% that visit the library.
Oh, you mean 130,000 residents of Debre Berhan?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Why is it they don't know about you? They don't know about you. Why is it that the figure is that low?
Whenever I move around Debre Berhan, just calls me the owner of Ras Abebe Aregay library.
That's your library.
Just they know me.
You're a pretty famous guy.
They talk about me, and not only me, books. People have a good attitude about books. They say, "Wow, this is a wonderful book," but we don't tend to open the book and explore what is in there. That's the problem. People know that the library is there. FM stations did a number of programs. I gave interviews, and also just were just known throughout the town. However, it is the interest. I think programs to do with reading should be planned.
So, but you have regulars, right, in your library? Those people who come on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, Ras Abebe Aregay library is like a family. We have young people who regularly attend the weekly discussion.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, yes.
And read and take a book a day and finish that. And we have other people who have just comfort zones, who may be reading only psychology, and maybe retired people read only history, and like that. They have their own choices, and this library has been a place for the young, the youth and others to come together and even mobilize some community outreach activities.
So now that you started it, let's talk about that. I mean, it's not only providing space for reading to those people, young and old, but also you organize other things under the same roof, right? Tell me about those.
Libraries are not just places where books are found or places where people read, but there should be different library programs which enable the people cultivate their thinking and knowledge. For this reason, we have a team of visitors who visit the historical and natural sites around Debre Berhan and even in Addis, like Ntoto. And we also went to Lake Tana just to help in the elimination of the water hyacinth. And we visit such places, and we do some volunteer activities. We fundraise for the needy. This is just to do with trips and all volunteer activities. And the other thing is I give trainings with some teachers, English language trainings, reading-related trainings to students in schools around Debre Berhan. And also I display storybooks with a projector I have, digital storybooks, and just a number of activities have been taking place in that town.
Quite diverse.
Yeah.
So when did you start all this? I mean, in the beginning it was what? I mean, you started with this in a small store, right?
Yeah, there is a small pub in Debre Berhan, just before I started this library, we had a book club, and our book club met at that pub, and we had a reading corner. It is just the size of this table, and everybody brought newspapers, magazines, and anything, and people could sit down there and read. And there was a group of friends, university lecturers, young people, and people from all walks of life just met there and discussed books once a week. And just this was a contribution of just all my friends and the people in the Tabase neighborhood of Debre Berhan. And finally, after I translated that book, that Rwandan book I told you about,
off camera,
this life.
No, while this was going on, you chanced on a book in your university where you teach literature. That's the Debre Berhan University, and that book happens to be by the survivor of the Rwandan Holocaust, if you will, from 1994, and she tells that story, a survivor's story, and then you decided to translate that book.
It is as Robert Frost says, the road not taken. Those 15 minutes before class, I could have gone to the lounge or elsewhere. I chose to go to that English Language Improvement Center.
In the university campus. Huh.
And I decided to clean the shelf, that small lending library shelf.
Which was dusty.
Everybody was just going for the internet connection. There were PCs.
Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook and everything. And reading was relegated into that. And therefore, when I cleaned that shelf, I just didn't have time even to put the books with content. However, I just arranged them with their size. And there was this one thin and long book which was left to tell. I didn't know what it was about. And then when I read the subheading, which was Discovering God Amidst the Rwandan Holocaust, then I was eager to read the book. And then I read it. Then the remaining, all is just history. I did it. And this library came into being.
So, your friends helped you said, in creating eventually this library. I mean, were they making some financial contributions? Was that a moral support that they were providing?
Without their encouragement, I wouldn't have been able to make it, because just a group of teachers from the university, just 10 to 20, after class in the evening, walk and come to the library, and people see them outside the library, and they stop by and, they check, even if they don't buy or borrow, just they see and go. Tomorrow, it would be a habit. Had it not been for their attention, I wouldn't have made it, because it's the teachers who just came there and brought friends, and the people saw them, and the library now is just a place known in that neighborhood.
So how do you acquire your books?
I buy them with my own money, and the income doesn't pay for that. And it is a collection of 2,000 books.
New and used?
Yeah, both. And so it is, it's just with my own money.
Your own money?
Yeah, I buy them from the market in Addis.
In Addis?
Yeah.
Okay. From the proceeds of your book, right?
That is the source. Of the seed money is as you say, the proceeds from that book.
Tell me a bit about books, about publishing. I mean, it's not an easy feat to have a book published, right? You started with one. Definitely you're going to do more. But it's not a welcoming territory, is it?
In our country, it is a challenge. Just the issue of books is a challenge. If you just come up with a manuscript, you go to maybe a publisher if you don't have money, the publisher will decide to give you some money, and you don't know when that money comes. Or if you plan to self-publish, you take that book to the printers, that manuscript to the printers. Then after they give you the books, you go to the distributors. Distributor after distributor, maybe 10, 20 places in Addis. You may be working. This is the history of Ethiopian writers, translators. Then you may have to wait years before they give you the money. Even after they sell, they finish selling, they may not be giving you.
That money that basically belongs to you, it's a very, very odd arrangement, is it not?
Yeah. And what I did was I took books, not money, from the distributor. I took books to my library, different books to my library, instead of the money, 50,000 per.
So you get that in kind?
Yeah, in kind, not in money.
Oh, so you sell those books and...
Yeah, that's it. It was a challenge.
Do you sell new books, or all the books that you sell new, or you the used ones too?
New only.
Only new?
Used ones are just there for on-the-spot reading and lending.
What sells most? That's textbooks?
Fiction.
Fiction sells more? Fiction, yeah. Oh, so it's Amharic fiction or African literature, or what is it?
It's Amharic fiction.
It's Amharic fiction.
Just the shelf, which is the English shelf, has no readers. Nobody really takes.
So has readership increased, you think, after you introduced your private library and bookstore in Debre Berhan? Do you think it has increased?
I think that happened because even if it is...
You do surveys, right?
Yeah. Even if it is less than 1% that comes to the library, I believe that we left a big mark in the readership of the town.
So I don't know, it's too early to do the survey for what has happened in the last 2 to 3 months, definitely because of COVID. But do you think that the arrival of COVID-19 has helped increase the readership? I mean,
yeah, COVID-19 is that is one challenge for the library and for libraries worldwide as well.
That's definitely because you can't have all in. Yes.
Yeah.
But definitely people borrow books, right? That's what I'm trying to allude to.
Yeah. You may think that they borrow more because of the disease and because of the free time they have. However, it's, as I told you, just from 10 to maybe maximum 30 people. However, on-the-spot reading is not just taking place now. Just we stopped that.
The last, 2 months or whatever?
Just that small area, a small room. For this reason, just they are not coming for that purpose for the last 2 months. We are just lending and selling. And also the weekly discussions, we are not holding them.
So this is bad time for your business?
Yeah, it is. And the 2 librarians are just gone home because they said it's better to
stay at home.
Yeah, they are students who are working in their free time, and they just went to the countryside where their parents are living.
And the fact that Debre Berhan University has closed helped you run this business on your own, right?
My own, yeah.
That's where you teach literature, and it would have been otherwise very, very busy.
Yeah.
To handle.
Yeah, that's why I'm handling it by myself. Yeah.
Wow. Coming back again to the library, it is open including lunchtime, right?
Yeah, including lunchtime in the evening.
And weekends as well?
Yeah, weekends.
Has the regional government, has the municipality taken note of what you do? Have they started chipping in, helping you in some way?
They know what's happening in that area. They come and visit me.
What else do they do for you?
I think no more than encouraging me.
And what does the encouragement mean?
The encouragement is like recognizing that it is a good job and it's contributing for the youth and for the intellectual development of the people in the area, and not just giving me something in kind or supporting me financially. So that's what's going on.
So do they have any plans to help you financially in the years ahead or something? I don't know.
I have not heard of.
How about the university, for example, where you work?
The university has not just given me anything other than my salary, which is really the source of the money that pays for the rent. Just not any help in kind or financially.
I find that interesting because you, through your library, helped put Debre Berhan on the map, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the African Libraries Association, right?
Yeah, the African Library Association contacted me last year to volunteer registering libraries in the country, just helping coordinate librarians register their libraries in the platform. And I registered the 3 libraries in town, 2 public libraries and 1 community library, my own. And also I helped coordinate other librarians throughout the country register their libraries on the platform. So they register the location, name of library, and then the services they give.
That coordinates?
Yeah. And then this will enable them to make their library visible throughout Africa. And other NGOs or interested people can see where that library is and can come and help.
When did you put your own library on that platform?
I think it was in August last year.
August, like it's close to a year.
Yeah.
And then has help come?
The plan was to finalize this registration process by March, but now because of COVID-19, they extended the time. The time when they disclose all this to the donors is now, I think, after the disease is over.
Then you think help will be on its way?
I hope so.
In what form?
Just if you need books.
They can ship books to you?
I hope so. Because even a woman from Book Aid International was there in Ghana when I was there. They have interest to know what number of libraries are where, and they would love to help just in any way they can. You
also are part of this Grand African Storybook Initiative. I mean, this is all about telling stories, getting stories published. You started by translating those stories, African stories, into Amharic primarily, and then to Oromifa and the later to Tigrinya.
The African Storybook Initiative was first introduced to me by an American Peace Corps volunteer named Benjamin Rerick. He was working in Mandida, just an hour drive from Debre Berhan, and he asked me to volunteer in translating storybooks to Amharic, as you said. I did. And then I invited my friends to do Tigrinya and Afan Oromo, and many people translated. Afterwards, I became the contact person for the initiative. And I admin the website, the Amharic and the Ethiopian languages section of the website, which is africanstorybook.org. And I went to South Africa when they had a workshop. And this African Storybook Initiative is a wonderful initiative because it helps African children read storybooks in their own languages. Children can download storybooks, print them, or just teachers and parents can display with a projector.
So from translating African stories, you moved on to writing your own stories, Ethiopian stories, and uploading them.
Yeah.
That makes them available for the reading public.
Yeah.
Mostly very young.
I am famous for translating storybooks. I translated a number of storybooks for the African Storybook Initiative, and they give freely to other platforms like the Global Digital Library, Storyweaver, and last year also this year I translated 40 storybooks for the Storyweaver, which is based in India, and just this was for the International Mother Language Day. As to writing my own storybook, I wrote one on horses of Debre Berhan. Just the cart pulling horses. Just I see them everywhere. Their plight is really miserable, and their situation was really bad.
I hear you.
I took photos, I did videos, but I thought this story can better be told through narrating. So I wrote those storybooks, and they are planning to translate them into different African languages. One of the problems is in some countries like Kenya, horses do not pull carts. It is donkeys instead.
That's right.
And horses are owned by people who are just wealthy, so they are taken care of, they are washed, unlike the horses in Debre Berhan. And I think somebody can, like SPANA, organizations working on animal rights, can do something for the horses of Debre Berhan, maybe training the owners or...
That's right. It's a social function of telling stories. So, have others joined you? It's only you who's doing this?
Many
writing stories and
many others joined me. We did a number of storybook workshops in Debre Berhan, competitions as well, Amharic and English, and I think 3 or 4 storybook writing competitions took place in Debre Berhan, and there were stories about a sister and a brother and like respecting your siblings. A story about a shepherd who had to who played some games and who didn't see his beasts going away, like that. So we have a number of storybooks published from Debre Berhan and Ethiopia. There was a storybook writing workshop in Adwa, and more than, I think, 20 storybooks were developed from there. The illustrator is from Tigray. We went to Oromia, Adama, and we did a number of storybooks there.
Fantastic. These are pretty organic stories
that
need to be told. So what are the challenges that you face as you go about doing what you do?
Yeah, there are a number of challenges as we are living here in a developing country. But what I see is the opportunities. When you have a number of problems, just you can use low level of creativity to solve them. So I advise young people to look for opportunities. Just there are opportunities.
Challenges are opportunities.
Yeah.
But what are these challenges? I mean, that's a great point. That's a great point you just made, but...
You may have some financial constraints, and also attitudinal issues could be other challenges. And just there are a number of them.
So what's your vision? I mean, as I tried to say early on, you're not the first one to start with, but you are probably the first one to do all these things at the same time, from running your own private library to having your own bookstore, to getting involved in telling stories and having stories published and make them available to a much wider audience. That's a totally different territory, and probably you are the only one doing that in this country. What is your vision? What do you want to do?
Just I want to expand this library I have in Debre Berhan, but I want that library model to be copied everywhere in Ethiopia. Private library ownership should be encouraged, and there should be some policy directives helping the sector. And I just want to expand the physical library to an online one, like by having my own website. The library can have its physical presence, and it can also serve people elsewhere with the technologies. So that's my plan.
Hope people are listening.
Yeah.
Keep it up, and thank you really very much, Mezemir, for being on the show.
My pleasure.